The battle was in 1777. And just give you a little more background here. When the Rockefellers came to America, they arrived there. They arrived as Palatine Germans, as indentured servants to British Queen Anne. And they were brought here to make pine tar, which is used for preserving wooden boats, especially like the British warships had to be preserved with pine tar or they'd be rotted. Well, what happened with the Rockefellers and many others, they started moving up the Mohawk River Valley and Hudson River, and they pretty much were expropriating Indian land. And the British were marching down to give the land back to the Indians. All right, you probably know that history. So that's why these people like the Rockefellers and other their comrades, that's what they fought so viciously. They were fighting for their existence, essentially. But going back to Alexander Hamilton, when he married a daughter, Phil Schuyler, and the British were defeated by American forces. You know, led by Alexander Hamilton, they were the spoils to the conqueror. They won the battle, so they started. These people, these lords and patrons of the Hudson River Valley, were the nation's first carpetbaggers. They expropriated so much from the British after they defeated the British. Was one thing they did was they took over Trinity Church, which was essentially a British church, Episcopalian church, built. I believe there was the British imposed taxation to build the church. It was a stronghold of British power. And when the British were defeated, Alexander Hamilton and the Astor family and all the Vanderbilt family and the Roosevelt family, they moved in and they kind of expropriated so much land. I mean, Phil Schuyler, of course, he was given 10,000 acres of what was Indian land up here. But I'm talking more about New York City. And there was a college, King's College, which was part of Trinity Church. And there was acres of land. Trinity Church, the British endowed Trinity Church with acres and acres of Manhattan real estate. Back then, most of it was pretty much stony farmland. Actually, very few people know that Trinity Church is still one of the biggest holders of Manhattan ear rights and owner of Manhattan real estate. Churches could be very wealthy, especially when they're Manhattan-based. And nobody knows this better than the Rockefellers. That's why the Rockefellers are always trying to take over churches. Like their federation of churches. Just like oil oligarchies, they started church oligarchies. Because the churches own fortunes in Manhattan real estate and art treasures and antiquities and intellectual properties. So Alexander Hamilton, being the financial boss of New York City, he was running basically Trinity Church. They downgraded Trinity Church and took the land from Trinity Church. Especially Alexander Hamilton and the Astor family. They downgraded Trinity Church. Actually, the Astor family are buried in Trinity Church courtyard. Trinity Church graveyard. Like Caroline Astor, the reigning queen of New York society. She's married in Trinity Church graveyard. But what Alexander Hamilton did, he took King's College, which was adjacent to Trinity Church. He moved it north, where it is now. It's Columbia University now. Changed the name of the university to Columbia University. And, well, that's where it is today. Now, keep in mind that Alexander Hamilton married the daughter of Phil Schuyler, so his descendants are Schuylers. Of course, Alexander Hamilton's rule of Columbia College, he was the first boss man of Columbia College, was short-lived because he was killed in the famous duel with Aaron Burr, Vice President Aaron Burr. And those guns, by the way, those dueling pistols are owned by the Rockefellers. They're owned by the Chase Bank, formerly the Chase Manhattan Bank. The Rockefellers dropped off the Manhattan name. The guns are on display at in the executive suite. The dueling pistols are on display at the executive suite. Now, how do I know that? I read David Rockefeller's memoirs. Well, here's the thing. We got to come forward a few years here to a man named Nicholas Murray Butler. Now, I've studied this man through various sources. I've studied him through David Rockefeller wrote about him in his memoirs, and